And welcome.
The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Good afternoon and welcome. We'll be starting in about 2 minutes' time. So welcome to today's webinar, How to Build a Sourcing Pipeline Through Forward-Looking Spend Visibility, hosted by Rosin Analytics and Angusta. A brief overview of today's agenda. There will be a quick overview of today's speakers, a piece on Rosin Analytics, a piece around the suite of procurement solutions, a piece around data challenges, procurement challenges, savings tracker, including a demonstration, and then time for questions and answers. And we hope to have some interesting questions and hopefully we can answer those for you. So moving to the speakers, first I'd like to introduce myself, Paul Cook. I'm Vice President of Global Sales here at Rosin Analytics. I have a history of B2B and B2C software, and in a previous life was in fact a CPO. So I do have some understanding of the world you live in and the life that you have to lead on a day-to-day basis, albeit from a few years ago. And we have Pierre Laprie, who's the founder of Angusta and was also Director of Group Procurement at Adecco. So between us we have many years of procurement experience, and we hope that that will be useful in today's webinar. So a small piece about Rosin Analytics. We are a global leading data tech company with a mission to make data accessible and better for decision makers. We IPO'd here in London in 2014. Our corporate headquarters is also in London, and we have offices in Buffalo, Denver, and Chicago. Currently we have 1 patent pending and 1 application pending. Our growing customer list is currently just over 100. So we have developed some groundbreaking data technologies. And we started off at the beginning by solving problems that are faced by the procurement teams. So we have developed the award-winning Rapid Cloud Data Platform. I won't read all these slides to you, but we're certainly the first to integrate and automate the different stages of raw data and to make that meaningful data so information is more accessible and more valued. And we were the first to offer pre-built spend analytics solutions to the market. In fact, even today we have a free self-service where if you wish to visit our website, you can just download and use our tools for free. So we have developed a suite of procurement solutions that are groundbreaking and are used by the largest organizations in the world. Today I'm showing you the procurement suite, but we do have others that help drive businesses' performance and innovation across the entire business suite. So as you can see from here, we start at the heart of our data machine is Rapid, but from Rapid we can move out to things such as opportunity analysis, spend analytics, contract management, supplier performance management, fraud management, and supplier risk analysis. All these are available in a seamlessly integrated single app. Some of the clients and partners that currently enjoy the use of these and other of our offerings include names as big as Coca-Cola, SIBA, Weir, Allen Overy, Florida State, GE, 3M. We're proud to be a SAP partner. We work with Cognizant, with Exchanging, with PwC, with Genpact, Pitney Bowes, Finext, and are seen as one of the world leaders in clicking the cloud development. So the data challenge. The real challenge that we face is that organizations struggle with data, and that only 10% of that data is actually accessible by employees. Now this is according to a recent research by Forrester. This isn't viable today when data is king and is viewed as a competitive advantage amongst companies. So with only 10% of the data available, that really means that 90% of your data is not accessible by your employees. And half of that 10% of data can't be used because it's of poor quality. This means that we're in a position where we find ourselves completely unacceptable places. You know, we cannot move forward, we cannot make business decisions simply because we cannot get clear access to our data. And of that 10%, the remaining 5% is not actively managed by employees. This means that we're basing decisions on only a fraction of the data we have available to ourselves. So that means that making decisions is critical, but we're doing it with 5% data. This is the same as being blind. I mean, we're making decisions in the dark. It's a big challenge and is a risk for most organizations. So what if we could give you access to 100% of your data, and that it was instant, and that you didn't need any help from IT? What if one-click data connectors existed that could automatically extract your data from all source systems and put it together into one platform? As an example, we have certified SAP extractors that allow us to take data straight from your SAP system straight into the Rapid platform. What if the platform gave you the ability to automatically examine, restructure, fix, and improve your data, so it becomes accurate and has a real value to your organization? What if this data was now in an analytical ready state and could be connected to other sources of information so that you have an even greater insight and perception about your organization? Well, this is what we do. We provide all of your data ready to use in one central place so you can make better, faster, and trusted decisions. Data is no longer out of reach, regardless of the source. We can give you direct access to the tools that you need to access, transform, and manage your data. Our Rapid Cloud Data Platform comes ready with a suite of pre-built analytical solutions for procurement that includes spend analytics, contract management, supply performance management, supply chain risk, and many more. What is unique about our approach is the speed and ease of getting visibility. We measure things in weeks, not months. And in addition to that, we put you in complete control of what you want to analyze, when you want to do it, and how you want to do it, because you're no longer reliant on consultants or IT. In fact, you can even classify your data on the fly, work out parent-child relationships, look at supplier ownership, all even on your iPad while you're on the train in the morning. If we continue to look at this slide, you'll see that we've attacked data in a very different way. Data used to be just private. It was sitting on your SAP systems or your Oracle systems or other ERP systems. Then people started introducing proprietary data like SQL Server, Hadoop, Access, Excel. Then people started introducing premium data, so things like D&B, Pitney Bowes, Equifax. Then public data came along, LinkedIn, Twitter, etc. And then people wanted employee data. We've built schemas that allow this data to come into a single source and a single view, regardless of where they came from. So you can now get your data into one place on one platform and make true business decisions. That is the thing that makes us special. Our clients have access to more technology and tools that they require in one place than anywhere else. One app that we've built and we'll talk about later is Savings Tracker, but we also have apps that allow you to classify and reclassify data on the fly. We'll allow you to do things in your own time, at your own speed, without any need for consultation or IT. This is saving you real time and real money. Rosin Analytics has been leading the consumerization of technology since its foundation in 1925. Designed for business users, our platform is used by thousands of category managers every single day. Every client on our store has its own app store, as you can see here. Each app is ready to use for yourself. You do not have to see the apps you don't wish to see, but certainly you can see and have access to the apps that help you make your everyday decisions. So we've developed what we call the apps library, and everybody that joins our Rapids platform has access to the apps library and then can decide which apps they wish to use. One of these apps, of course, we will talk about later, is Savings Tracker. So companies use our apps to solve the biggest data challenges, and that allows them to answer questions they didn't necessarily know before. And what we find is that no matter which organization, what sector you're in, how large or small your business, there are 6 common types of data that all businesses have. Supply chain data, product data, finance data, spend data, customer data, and employee data. Roslyn's developed apps and an approach that allows you to take all this data, bring it into one place, interact with it socially, and analyze it at your own speed. This is truly groundbreaking. Today we're going to focus on the procurement challenges. Being an ex-CPO myself, I recognize all of these and have been involved in nearly every decision that we have to make around this. But everything starts at spend visibility. As a procurement director or a CPO, you cannot see your spend. How can you possibly make informed decisions on how to move forward? You must be able to measure your contract performance. You know, are you buying off contract? Are you buying on contract? Is it the right contract? How do we make sure we're compliant to contract? How do we make sure that when we get our spend visibility, that spend is coming off contracted suppliers? How do we look at demand management? How do we work to save our organization's money by products such as supplier rationalization, tail-end spend management? Do we know about supplier density? In this age we live in today, how do we manage supplier performance? Are we buying products from people that we shouldn't be? When we live in the global world, how do we manage our decentralized procurement? How do we make sure they're complying to the corporate rules? And how do we de-risk the supply chain? All of these challenges are faced by procurement departments, big or small, in every country in the world, every day of the week. And we truly believe that we've built apps that will allow you to face these challenges, answer these challenges, and deliver real business benefit to your organizations. I'm now going to pass you over to Pierre, who is going to talk you through the Savings app. The app is on our web store. It helps tracking projects, forecasting, and track savings. It enables you to get up-to-date progress. It enables you to deliver customized and meaningful reports to stakeholders and start productive, fact-based conversation with your stakeholders, your CPOs, your CFOs, your CEOs. Your buyers will be able to spend time with their suppliers, not filling out paper. You will make much more decisive business rules if you understand where you're starting from. And with that, I'm going to pass you over to Pierre.
Thank you, Paul. Hello, everyone. So, as Paul said, I also have a background in procurement. So, just before we dive into the subject of sourcing pipeline, a quick introduction. I come from an IT project management background and with a global procurement role at Adecco. And there I discovered a few things that were crippling procurement, and some of them could be easily remedied with a few tools and remedies. So this is what we'll be talking about today. So the sourcing pipeline is one of the things that I believe are very important. And it's very interesting to notice that not so much gets written on the topic when you read a lot about procurement. Probably Andrew Bartolini at CPO Rising talks about that, but not so many others do. Yet it's a very important part of what we do as procurement. So if we make the usual comparison, well, at least one I like to make with sales, because I often consider we're doing the same job, we're just not on the same side of the table. If you look at sales, they've been using the sales pipeline, or called funnel too, for almost a century now. So why are they using a sales funnel, and why don't we, or not always very well, or not very generally with procurement? The first thing that a sales funnel will give you is processes. It will allow for a structured and reproducible process. As in all things, you need methodology to ensure you do the right thing, that you can make it reproducible and scalable. Once you establish your processes, it will bring performance. So we all know about this business guru, Peter Drucker. He famously said, you cannot improve what you don't measure. And this applies very well to these kind of things. It's only when you track your sales funnel, for example, that you can know your conversion ratios, for example. And once you know that, then you can improve them. And once you have established a good baseline of performance, you can then start looking at trends. And this ability to look and detect trends will help you anticipate activity peaks and brace for tough situations like bad economic situation. And finally, I would say that managing a sourcing pipeline is almost a matter of transparency. You cannot live in isolation, and the best way to discuss on the right basis is actually to bring facts to the discussion. And having a funnel, a pipeline, will give you these numbers and this data so that you can discuss based on a shared view of your data. So all the things we've said about sales, can they apply to procurement? Are we any different as procurement? So let's ask a few questions. Do we need as procurement to structure and plan our activity? Do we need to measure its performance, to forecast our activity using trends and forward-looking knowledge? And more importantly, do we need to give visibility and transparency to our organization on what we do and the results we deliver? If you ask me, I'd say yes to all these questions, and I'd say that somehow we're the same as sales. We're just, as a function, a bit less mature than sales, so we're a bit late to the party. And actually, when you look at a study that Aberdeen released a couple of years ago, they showed that best-in-class companies are much more likely to create and regularly update their sourcing pipeline because it delivers value. And it's a virtuous circle where the more you track, the more you deliver, and it will help you better feed your pipeline. And what's interesting is that if you look at the details of the statistics, the number of companies who actually manage a sourcing pipeline is about 40%, regardless how they rank as leaders or laggards. That means 60% don't. So that's one of the reasons why you should be doing that. It's to join the leaders group and not the laggards bandwagon. So there are three main benefits that you can expect from building your sourcing pipeline. The first one is a matter of visibility. It's as simple as establishing a roadmap. And this visibility is important to manage your activity. If you have a team of 5, 20, or even 100 buyers, can you manage them? Can you manage your activity without knowing in advance what they are up to and what they will have on their plate now or in 6 months from now? A corollary to that is that unless you are in a company that can afford to have more buyers than it needs, you will have to prioritize your resources. And again, unless you have your pipeline, you won't be able. Last thing is communication. And in a first step, communication simply means having the ability to answer simple questions such as, hey, what are you up to? What are your top 5 projects you're on? Or are you on track with your forecast? And answering this question means obviously answering them without having to spend 2 hours gathering data and building reports. So all this might seem a bit reactive and defensive, but actually when you take control of your pipeline, you quickly realize that you're in the driver's seat and you can decide what battles to pick and focus on what actually matters. And this is what will bring more value to the organization. This is where you will have an impact. You will be able to focus on high yield negotiation or to focus on contracts for which there is a risk, and even though there is not much at stake in terms of saving, you need to secure the risk. So you need to have this visibility. And that's what the kind of benefits you will get on that. And remember that information is power, and this information, you will get it in your pipeline. The next obvious question is, okay, now I know I need to have my pipeline, but how do I build it? And how do you fill the pipeline? There are 3 main areas to look at. The first one is obviously your spend data. This is where you have all the information that you need on supplier spend invoices. So usually what we all do one way or another is to look at our top suppliers, potentially by category, and hopefully you know all of them. But you'd be surprised what you find sometimes looking at your spend numbers. So that's usually a good place to start. Then typical procurement organizations also look at some categories they barely, if at all, address. Legal and marketing are usual suspects here, but this is very dependent on your organization, your maturity, and what can be achieved or not. Once you've done this basic spend analysis, then you can start discussing and reviewing more refined things. One of the things you can look at is supplier density. How much of your supplier make the most of your spend? And if your top 4 supplier only make 18% of your spend and the other 390 make the rest, there might be room for consolidation, and there might be an action here to feed into your pipeline. Similarly, when you start looking at your volumes of invoices and realize that one supplier sends you 13,000 invoices when the next one only sends you 3,000, that's probably something to be looked at here. And there are a lot more other situations like that you can glean from a spend visibility tool such as Rapid from Roslyn. And all that will help you find activities for your buyers. Second source of inspiration for your pipeline is stakeholders, people who have budget. So as procurement, our goal is to help these people reduce their budget, or if you talk to them, you should probably tell them that you're helping them making more with the same budget. And these people, you should go to them. They are the ones with the money to spend on things that already exist or on new things. And this means that they should be the first one you go to during the budgeting period because they're the one that will help you feed your pipeline. Clearly, this might not be always easy, but it's with this kind of project that you'll write your finest stories, and then it will be, again, a virtuous circle. Once you start proving your worth with one stakeholder, the others will quickly follow because you will simply give them some slack on their budget, and you will help them do more with the same or even reduce budgets. The third candidate, of course, is contracts. As with this pot of soup, contracts have an expiration date. And one activity of your buyers is to actually negotiate a contract renewal or a termination. And sometimes this part is underestimated, but don't underestimate it because companies tend to have a lot of contracts that expire more or less at the same period, typically December 31st. So a thorough inventory and planification of these actions will allow you to give each contract the care they deserve, because that would be a shame to rush a commercial negotiation just because you did not anticipate. There is a lot of value to be gained from contract negotiation because a lot of contracts might include an indexation clause, which might mean +2 or +3%. And if you plan, you can easily waive these kind of things. So to summarize, your pipeline will be built on spend, contracts, and stakeholders. The next question, of course, is what are the right tools to do these kind of things? I will spoil my answer. It's not Excel. It can work until you have 5 buyers, but beyond it will be a nightmare because people will overwrite formulas and all these kind of silly things will happen. And to be honest, we did not find much information, so that's why we built our savings tracker with Angusta. We do just a few things, but we do it right. The first one is to identify opportunities. You will list them, prioritize them. The next thing will actually be to set targets. And targets, you will either set them because you're a player and you like to challenge yourself and challenge your buyers, but more likely you will be challenged by your CFO that wants you to commit on some savings. Once you've built your pipeline, it's very important to monitor the activity of your buyers and progress and monitor the progress of the actions. This is important because this is where you will be able to anticipate any slippage compared to the plan and to actually find a remedy for that. And the last thing, of course, is to measure the results of your project. So this can be soft savings, hard savings, but all of that needs to be collected and put somewhere to be then reported on, and also to be shared and potentially validated. So that's in a nutshell what we do with the savings tracker. I suggest we now move directly to the demonstration. Sorry. So as you can see, the savings tracker is a web-based tool. It can be integrated into your Roslyn application store, and you can log in seamlessly into the tool. So when you log on, you will arrive to a high-level dashboard with your main KPIs, but we'll come to that later. The core of the engine is actually the negotiation pipeline. So the negotiation pipeline is where all your projects, all your activities will be listed, and we have a few key information like, okay, who's my incumbent supplier, what are we talking about, who's the assigned buyer, procurement category, and everything. Then we start entering the notion of spend, and for this amount, for this project, for example, we have an existing spend of £75,000, which after negotiation we hope will reduce by 69%. That's actually our target. And with this pipeline, you will be able to easily change priorities if priorities change, and your buyers will be able to very easily inform you of where they are by just changing the status of the project. More importantly, we have built collaboration and communication into the tool. So it will become very easy for your buyers to put some status updates on the project. And this is very important because it will allow you and your stakeholder to know exactly what's the progress of the status and identify risks and mitigate them so that they don't turn into issues. You can also attach documents to your project. So, for example, needs analysis or any other things that are relevant to project charter. Again, it's important for trackability, but it's also a very good way to secure the knowledge that's been acquired by your team, because these documents, they become available to everyone. And if a buyer is sick or leaves, then you have the knowledge retained. And in 2 years after the project is closed, when it's time to retender the same project, your buyers will be very happy to see what was done 2 years ago and to capitalize on that knowledge. And because we know that buyers don't like to report and use tool, we've made it extremely easy to report a new project. A lot of information comes from your project, and then you can very easily, type the content of your project. Say that, for example, the incumbent supplier is O2 and that it's IT telecom and mobile telephony. You will qualify your action. Okay, it's a renegotiation, and I think I will do this action from, I don't know, March to August. We're talking about 100,000 of existing spend, and we believe we can save 3% on that. My stakeholder here is IT, and that's an OPEX and very high priority. So in 30 seconds, your buyers can actually create a project, and they can make it live and update the status so that you as a manager will have full visibility on what's going on. And this visibility is very important because you will be able to start acting on your numbers. So we have a lot of tables that will help you, for example, with your current project portfolio, understand where you are between what you have initially set as a target and what your buyers have reforecasted. And this is very important to be able to project yourself at the end of the year and understand that you had committed to a target of 80,000, 88,000 pounds of savings. But actually, when you look at what remains to be delivered as project and what you already have delivered, you can see that you actually have a problem because you are almost a third behind your targets. So with these kind of things, you can anticipate risk and realize in June rather than in November that you will not make your target. And there might be good reasons for that. For example, the fact that 4 projects representing 25,000 pounds of savings have been put on hold for example, because you don't have the resources or because your stakeholder doesn't want to open the door for you to step in the project. So all this will give you key information on how you will be with your savings targets at the end of the year. And on a day-to-day basis, you will have all the information to very easily monitor the progress and workload of your buyers. And for example, we might consider that this guy here might have an issue in August because he has 5 projects going on at the same time. So then it will become very easy for you as a manager to shift priorities or reassign workload from one buyer to the other. And as a manager, all this information is extremely valuable because you are able to actually manage your pipeline and not live with it without being able to act upon it. In the same way as we've easily created a project, it will be very easy for the buyer to actually say that the project has been started, perform his tender using an e-sourcing tool or manually, and then he will be able to report on the savings that he has generated. So there again, it's very easy. We're carrying over all the information because we know buyers don't like to input data. We just focus on a few things. When was the contract signed? For example, we finished 20th of August and the contract will be effective in September 1st, and that will be a 12-month contract. And actually, we realized that we had a few cards to play, and we had an anticipation of £3,000 of savings. We actually made 5,000, which is good. And because this has an impact on the P&L, we're allocating those numbers year by year. This is a very quantitative approach of the savings. What we're bringing also is a more qualitative aspect. And one of the first things we like to push is, at what stage have I been involved by my stakeholder? Has it been at the very end when it was time to sign, or at the very beginning when we were defining the needs? We know at procurement that the earlier we're involved, the better we can do. But now we start to get data to actually show that. And when you go to your CFO and tell him and show him with hard numbers that when you're involved at the last minute, you do 3%, and when you're involved up front, you do 15%, believe me, he will then give you the means to actually be involved as upfront as possible. And that's the same with the negotiation levers that you can pull. We know that a competitive tender is 1,000 times better than direct negotiation. Again, you will get data to actually prove that. And of course, what we're pushing for a lot is sharing savings. And sharing savings means sharing it with the stakeholder and making sure that he has seen the number and he agrees to them. But it also means showing the numbers to finance or whoever is in charge of validating the savings in your organization. Usually it's finance, a financial controller or whatever. These guys, they usually have an access to the tool and they can go and check and do the review with the procurement manager and say, okay, do we agree on the number? Do we agree on the baseline? Do we agree on the results? Yes. And then you can validate the savings. It's extremely powerful when you can start showing all those green F stands for finance here, meaning that finance has validated your savings, because then it's not anymore a matter of saying, yeah, we've saved £5 million and no one believes you. Here, if it's green, it means that finance shares it. So sometimes the numbers go down, but that's the game. And actually, I'd rather show 2 million of savings validated by finance than showing any other higher number. So this is a very important part of the sourcing pipeline. It's not only showing the product a target of 3,000 and you actually deliver 5, and this green piggy bank tells you that the savings have been fully validated, including by finance. So this is the kind of things we do in the savings tracker: planning project, getting an overview to anticipate where you are, reporting, and validated savings. Of course, we also have a ton of reports that you can use, and this is a typical built-in report that will show you a few things, like, for example, you have a target of 88, which is spread half, well, 1/3, 2/3 between cost avoidance and P&L impact, and right now you have delivered 29% of your project. This dashboard is extremely important because it will help you show your CFO what you deliver, and not only the impacts on the P&L. They are very important, and that's what your CFO will buy, but you actually can take this opportunity to say that, okay, we have delivered 16 of P&L impact over a 12-month basis, but actually we've delivered an additional 9,000 pounds of benefits, which are more cost avoidance. And typically the CFO will say, okay, 16 is nice, but how much will impact my current year? And there you immediately have the information here by showing, okay, we've reported savings, and in this financial year you will get 7,000 pounds already. And having the ability to show exactly this kind of numbers to your CFO is extremely valuable, because it means that you're on top of everything, your projects, your numbers. Where it becomes even more powerful is that, let's say that you want to talk with your CIO. In one click, you can filter the dashboard to only show what's relevant to him. And so with just this filter, I've restricted my dashboard view to only the negotiation I've done for the IT stakeholder. And then I'm able to show him that I've already delivered 9,000 pounds of savings, and that we have 10 more to go. So this is a very good way to actually start the conversation with your stakeholders and actually engage with them to make sure that they cooperate and that they give you access to all of their budget and projects. We have a lot more of things we could show you, but we probably can organize other presentations if some of you want. So that's in a nutshell what Angusta does. And back for a few slides. We wanted to say a few important things. One of the best things we've done so far is to partner with Roslyn, because there is a lot of complementarity in both tools and in the way we approach things. So as of today, well, and since a few months already, you can seamlessly sign in from Rapid into the savings tracker, and that's just an app like the others, and you can get the value immediately. In a few weeks, you will be able to even create projects right from your spend data into the savings tracker, and that will be a good way to embark with your buyers and make sure that they actually make the most out of both tools. So to conclude this part of the webinar, I wanted to recap the three main selling points for you to build and manage a sourcing pipeline. First, you can only take procurement function where it deserves to be if you adopt a very professional approach. And I'm not saying professional as opposed to being sloppy. I'm just saying you need to build a predictable and reliable way of organizing your work and sharing it with the world. Again, remember the sales funnel. These guys have been doing that for years and years, and it has worked for them. The second thing you need is to make this way of working efficient, and this is by using the right tool. You cannot waste time consolidating data, spreadsheets, running after your buyers for them to update their project, and then spending nights building ad hoc reports for your various stakeholders. You need to have a tool that will let you make decisions based on report and not spend time building them. And lastly, it's a question of building procurement's reputation. We're sometimes seen as supplier squeezer, cost cutter, but we bring a lot more than that. And one of the first steps to change this point of view from our stakeholder is simply to show them that we have a very structured approach, and that once we touch a subject, we do it in a very professional way, and then we deliver value beyond numbers. And it's only by writing those success stories one by one and by convincing the stakeholder with hard numbers that we will be able to gain the seat we want near the top of the company. So again, building a sourcing pipeline takes time. Building the reputation takes even more time. But what we have found with our customers and in our past experience is that it's a very good way to get the ball rolling, and actually it's the first building block to a good and mature procurement function. So thanks for listening, and now back to Paul.
Thank you, Pierre. That was very, very interesting. Before I go back to some more slides, you'll find on your dashboard there is a place to ask questions, and I would encourage you to ask some questions now. We have a few coming in, and we'd like to answer as many as we can in the time that we have left. I'm just going to come back to my screen. So we think that working with Pierre and for Angusta is a wonderful thing, and really I think there are 3 key steps to success in Savings Tracker. In my mind, the first thing to do is to use your Rapid platform to integrate, cleanse, and enrich your data. Get your data to an analytic state where you can actually do something with it. Then use Rapid to identify your savings opportunities. There is an app within the tool that enables you to identify supplier rationalization, product rationalization, global rationalization, all in a single app, all in reports that you can very easily bring out, save, share, amend. Once you've got that opportunity, then use your skills as procurement professionals to deliver those opportunities. But no point is either Pierre or myself saying that we're going to do a better job for you, that you can't do, that this is a replacement for procurement. All we're doing, we're showing you how to find those opportunities quickly, and then you need to use your professional skills as the best purchasers in the world to deliver those opportunities to your organizations. Once you deliver those opportunities, the next thing to do is to use the savings tracker to monitor the opportunities, and that will lead you to genuine realized savings that both yourself and your finance director can measure and can go forward together as a single voice to the business to say, as a team, we've used the right tools in the market to deliver the absolute best possible savings we can for you as an organization, and here is the proof. So the benefits from using spend visibility is it's delivered as a service, so you no longer have to buy expensive software or hardware. We're not going to come along and install anything on the back of your machine. This is a fully cloud product. It is also a fully integrated platform, so it is connected to contract management, supplier performance, savings tracker. All of the apps that we have are all completely seamless and interconnected. You will get a complete and accurate spend visibility categorized to your exact needs. Many of our customers use UNSPSC. Some of our customers use, for example, a template used by law. Other customers will use their own bespoke taxonomies. It is absolutely flexible for you to look at your data and categorize it in the best way for you. Not only that, but you can actually change it on the fly, recategorize, remove, without this need for complex projects and expensive bits of kit to be installed behind your firewalls. All of these products you've mentioned today have very quick deployment. They will be deployed in weeks, not months. It is a very, very cost-effective thing to do. This is not multi-million-pound jobs we're talking about here. We can deliver you a working spend analytics platform with savings tracker at the most incredible cost. So we'd now like to open the floor up to questions, and I see we have. I see that we have a question in, which we would like to look at. And the first question we have says, and Pierre, maybe you'd like to participate in these as well, is can payment term improvement projects be tracked through the savings tracker? If so, can DPO/weighted average payment term be calculated and converted to net cash?
Okay, so yes, so basically any project for which you can quantify a benefit or a savings can be tracked in the tool, even if there is no underlying spend. So that's one of the first things. The other thing that I wanted to share with you to answer that is we allow the buyers to track their the negotiated payment term, and we're making this feature even better, allowing you to actually track payment terms improvement. And of course, payment terms improvement doesn't mean much out of the box, but we're also adding the ability for the users to actually input the weighted average cost of capital or any other thing that will help you make sense out of this payment terms improvement. And so yes, this will be something, well, this is already something you can track in the tool, and this is something where you will be able to demonstrate to your CFO, for example, that the work of procurement has resulted in a net improvement of working capital. And if you've seen on the main dashboard, this is something, the payment terms is something we show in the first dashboard, because it's for me an excellent way of showing to the company that procurement knows better than just squeezing cost. There is a lot of cash behind payment terms, and when you are able to show to your CFO that you track and improve that, then you're showing a good level of maturity.
That's a very good answer, Pierre.
Thank you.
We have another question that says, how does this suite of apps differ from a program like Ariba? Well, that's a very big question. One which I will try to answer, but maybe something that we'll reach out to the asker of this question after the webinar. There is a marked difference in that Ariba is was a company that sold purely sourcing tools, so e-auction, ERFX, ERFP. It had a data analytics piece purely to provide the answers to the questions asked by the sourcing people. Since it's been purchased by SAP, it will obviously be changing its approach slightly. Whereas Roslyn only has ever focused on data. We are a data analytics business. We're a cloud-based data analytics business, and we're never going to be looking for bigger suite sales of other products beyond the apps that we have. And and we have the ability to integrate from multiple sources, to tie data sets together from many different systems and using many different schemas, regardless of where they're stored. I think it's a much bigger question, and we would be delighted to contact you and maybe come along and see you and answer this question in full, because it is a very large question. Pierre, do you have any comment on that?
I think that to add to what you said, I think that the key difference between a platform like Ariba and what we do is that Ariba is focused on the transactional part, managing RFPs or even managing P2P orders and invoices, whereas what Roslyn and us do is focus on intelligence. We help you pilot your business, not running it. And that's for me the key difference between those P2P, source to contract, or whatever you name them, suites, and what we do.
Thank you. We have another question. How do you encourage your buyers to be diligent about data entry? Well, this is difficult, because you'll have people around the world putting data in for very different reasons under various different pressures. And I think as long as you've got a human involved in entering data, it's always going to be some mistakes. It's what you do with the mistakes and how you put things right. So the reason that Roslyn exists is that we will extract the data. We will then improve that data quality by doing things like cleansing the data, deduping the data, geocoding the data, normalization, so that it's completely cleansed. And we'll use our ICE product to integrate, cleanse, and enrich product to the data. So we will turn data that is in quite poor shape into data in very good shape. And that's the purpose of the apps that we have. Pierre, would you like to comment there?
Yeah, I think that there is indeed a twofold approach. It's making sure, as you say, that we fix mistakes, and before that, and that's what we try to achieve in the savings tracker. It's by making it easy for the buyers. One user in the US last year told us, "Hey, it looks like Facebook," and to be honest, this was the best feedback I received, because it means that we had one of the biggest challenges. It's making sure that it's not like keying data. It's just, updating things like I would update my status on Facebook. And for me, that's the best way to ensure that you get the buy-in from your user. It's by making it easy for them.
Great. We have another question. How do you maintain security of web-based data? Well, security is king. It's very, very important. You must be sure that when you're handing your data to anybody that you can trust that it's kept in a secure place. We pride ourselves here at Roslyn on the fact that we have a data security team. We have a head of data security that has a PhD in data encryption. We keep our data on Azure. It's very secure. It is here in Europe. We keep it in the US where required for customers in the US. We have security clearance at the very highest level, ranging from Homeland Security to UK Military Defence, UK banking, UK legal firms. In fact, we have 4 of the biggest legal firms in the world using our product, and we have A+ rating for security from all of them. But we would welcome penetration testing from anybody that was interested in joining us. But it's an expensive thing to do, and we'd more than delighted to share with you the results of other people's pen tests. Obviously, not naming who they are, but certainly showing you the results that we received. Or you're welcome to pen test it yourself. But it is key when you're selecting any cloud-based data vendor that they have a robust and real security in place to ensure that your data is kept in a very, very safe environment that you can trust. Pierre, would you have a comment on that?
I fully agree. You need to make sure where you store your data, so you need to have the right hosting partners. You need to make sure your development practices are in place, and that's a data security team. And as you said, transparency. So you need to make sure that you communicate on what you do and be very open for penetration testing. And I agree with you. We do exactly the same as Roslyn. And for me, this is the only way to build the trust on data security.
Thank you, Pierre. We have a question here that I think is absolutely made for you. Does the saving calculation based on the actual spend, or is each project has their own saving calculation mechanism?
So as a general rule, we are very agnostic when it comes to calculating savings. Calculating savings is the difference between an initial spend and a negotiated spend. And this will vary a lot between companies, and even within a company it will vary a lot depending on the context and the project. So clearly it is up to our customers to determine what is the baseline spend. It can be last year's spend, it could be a forecast, it could be anything. So the answer here is that there is no single answer. It's up to you to determine what's your baseline spend and how you measure the resulting spend. And we will only calculate the savings as the difference between those two numbers. It takes sometimes a bit of time to explain, but it's bulletproof. All of our customers finally said, yeah, it absolutely makes sense. And clearly, it means that there is a huge prerequisite to that. It's that you have defined a clear and shared and validated way of reporting savings. At most of my customers, this is actually a company policy.
Thank you, Pierre. I have a very short question that's just come through, which is just sort of amused me slightly. I've just been on your website. What does ICE stand for? ICE is the methodology that we use in our approach. Is integrate, cleanse, and enrich. So we integrate the data from any source system. We'll cleanse the data by geocoding, deduping, normalization, parent-child relationships. Then we'll enrich the data by adding in Dun & Bradstreet or Equifax or other such items. And then we'll host the data for you. So that's what ICE means. It just made me chuckle, so I thought I'd read it. Another one for Pierre. Can payment term improvement projects be tracked through the savings tracker? If so, can DPO, weighted average payment terms, be calculated and converted into the net cash improvement? I think we've had this question once before already today.
In a different form, yes, but I think that on the specific DPO subject, you need to think of how you report and capture savings. What we do in the savings tracker at the moment is stop at the contracted savings. So to actually measure a DPO, you actually need to have payment information on all of your invoices. So at this moment, this would probably rather be an information you would find in Rapid, because there you will have all your invoices with the actual payment terms, and that's where you will be able to actually measure the DPO. In probably in a few months from now, this is something we'll be able to import from Rapid into the savings tracker to have everything in one place. But at this stage, I would say if you look at an actual DPO, rather look at Rapid.
Great, thank you. We have a question here. What about international sourcing and managing risk? So the platform is ideal for this particular environment. And if we start with international sourcing, the first thing that you'll find when you look at your data is it will be in many languages. Well, we have the ability to instantly translate that to English. We translate it to English actually in the site. We wouldn't suggest that you translated your input data into English, because when your POs come in and all the paperwork comes in related to your purchases, you won't be able to match them up because they're going to come in local language, and you're going to find you have a mismatch. But certainly when you're categorizing your data, when you're building your data reports, you will need to be able to look at that data, understand what that is, and then be able to categorize it correctly to your taxonomy. And by being able to instantly translate whatever it is, be it Chinese, Swedish, Dutch, you'll then be able to take that data, categorize it in the right way, and then report against it, and you'll see it in local language, or you can see it in English. As far as risk is concerned, we have a whole risk app, and that's based on geographical risk, but it's also based on political risk or purely supply risk. For example, right now a lot of our companies are asking us about Ukraine and the Middle East, and how can we spot suppliers that we have out there, and can we find the same products from similar suppliers that we already have in our data, just in a different area. So they might be buying from Ukraine, and also they might be buying the same product from a company in China, or they might be buying it from a company in America, and they can say, well, actually, can we now look at that and transpose those procurements from our risk area into an area where there's less risk? There's always going to be risk in supply chain. Or we recently spun up around tsunami. We managed to spin up geographical risk to say that you're buying from Japan. There's a chance that this could be a threat. Do you want to make sure you know about this so that you can plan to reschedule your purchasing, particularly if this is mission critical products? Pierre, do you have any insight into this?
No, not much. I think you've said much of what needed to be said. Of course, then when you need to track an international sourcing project, of course the savings tracker can allow you to actually record the fact that this project is happening in one country or the other, and that it's followed by someone in the headquarters or locally. So not much to add.
Thank you, Pierre. That's quite nice. We've reached the end of our hour. In summary, we'd like to firstly thank you for taking the time out of your very busy day to listen to us talking to you today, and I hope you found the webinar of interest. Certainly from the side of Rosalind and for Angusta, we would be completely delighted to talk to any of you on an individual basis about how our products could help deliver real value and business asset to you as an organization. And please do feel free to reach out to us at any time, and we will be more than delighted to visit your offices and talk to you. So just in summary, we'd like to say thank you. I'd like to thank Pierre for taking time out of his day to show us his fantastic app, and we wish you the very best and look forward to seeing you all again soon. We do have an upcoming webinar, which is on the 31st of March, and it is about 7 technological breakthroughs that will help you generate new value from spend data. It'll be at 11 a.m. And it'll be a very interesting webinar. Yeah, we'd like to thank you for your time and wish you a very good afternoon. Thank you very much.
Thank you all. Bye.